I've found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small, so do what you feel passionate about. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to dream big, but dream with discipline. That's how you find purpose. That's how you keep going even when it's hard. You fall 7 times, you get up 8. A fall forward, not backward." These words are not just motivational fluff. They are a powerful principle of resilience, responsibility, and relentless pursuit. Denzel Washington uses this phrase to describe a mindset, a life approach that transforms failure into fuel. When we attempt something and fall short, the natural instinct is often to retreat, to pull back, to question ourselves. But Denzel reminds us that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. Falling forward means that every stumble, every setback, every rejection is not wasted energy. It's forward motion. It's movement with meaning. And it's how winners are made. Too often, people are taught to fear failure. From a young age, we're conditioned to avoid mistakes, to play it safe, to stay in our lane. But greatness doesn't live in the safety zone. Greatness lives where things are uncertain, where risks are taken, where the ground is unstable. It's in those moments of falling that we are tested. And when we fall forward, we land closer to our goals. Denzel's philosophy is not about avoiding the fall. It's about embracing it, learning from it, and using it to propel ourselves onward. He once said, Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't either, because the one Zoralden first was the light bulb. That's falling forward. Imagine if Edison stopped after failure number 800 or 999. He kept falling forward, learning with every failure, adjusting his approach, and continuing to believe in the vision he had. That's the core of what Denzel is talking about. Every time you fail and keep moving forward, you get closer to your breakthrough. Falling forward means taking ownership of your path. No more blaming the world. No more waiting for the perfect moment. Denzel's own journey is a testament to this. Before becoming the global icon he is today, he was rejected multiple times. He auditioned and didn't get the role. He was told he wouldn't make it. But instead of falling back into doubt or settling for less, he fell forward into acting classes, into preparation, into more auditions, into purpose. He didn't just get lucky. He kept showing up. He kept grinding. And he kept falling forward. It's also about redefining what failure means. When you fall forward, failure isn't final. It's formative. It shapes you. It teaches you what works, what doesn't, who you are, and how bad you really want it. Denzel says, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. And that's okay. Because if you never fail, it means you're not trying hard enough. You're not pushing your limits. And that means you're not growing. The people who make it in life, in business, in art, in leadership, they're not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall again and again and again, and use each fall as a step up the ladder. They don't fear rejection because they understand that rejection is just redirection. They don't let mistakes define them. They let them refine them. Falling forward is also about courage. It takes courage to keep moving after failure. It takes guts to say, I messed up, but I'm not quitting. When you fall backward, You lose sight of where you're going. But when you fall forward, your eyes are still on the prize. You're still in motion. You're still engaged. And that's what separates champions from quitters. Denzel's words are a reminder that we are not meant to live timid lives. We are meant to stretch, to reach, to risk. Yes, you may fall. Yes, it may hurt. But don't fall back into excuses. Don't fall back into comfort. Fall forward into growth, into experience. So the next time you hit a wall, don't ask, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? How can I fall forward from here? That shift in mindset is everything. Because in the end, success is not about how few times you fall. It's about how many times you rise after falling and how much closer you get to your purpose every time you do. Never give up. Fall forward. Dreams without goals are just dreams. That single sentence from Denzel Washington cuts deep and strikes the heart of everyone who dares to dream. Because we all dream. We dream of being successful. We dream of being wealthy, fulfilled, admired, respected. But what separates the people who only dream from those who live those dreams is simple as goals. Dreams are powerful. They give us vision. But goals give us the map, the discipline, and the direction to get there. Denzel speaks from experience when he says this. He wasn't born into wealth, nor did he have it easy. He grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, with struggles like many others. But he had a dream of acting, of making it big, of standing on a stage that the world would watch. Yet what made that dream real wasn't just the desire. It was the discipline, the daily work, the hard conversations with himself, the rejection and the growth, the years of preparation before opportunity even knocked. When you don't set goals, you wander. You may have a fire inside, a passion that burns strong, but without direction, that fire burns out. Think about it. How many people do you know with incredible talent, unmatched potential, and charisma who never make it? Why? Because they don't have structure. They don't have intention behind the action. They talk about someday. They wait for the right time. They tell themselves, I'll start when, but someday is not a day of the week. It's an illusion. Denzel's advice is about clarity. Set short-term goals. Set long-term goals. Be specific. It's not enough to say, I want to be successful. What does success mean to you? What does it look like? Where are you in 5 years? How will you measure your growth tomorrow, next week, next month? That level of honesty with yourself separates the committed from the casual. He tells us discipline and consistency are non-negotiable because you won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel like grinding. That's where goals become your compass. They remind you why you started. They give you small wins along the way, moments that show you're not just moving, you're progressing. You don't climb a mountain in one leap. You climb it one step at a time, one goal at a time, with your eyes fixed on the summit. There's also a deeper lesson in his words. Dreams without goals can actually be dangerous. Why? Because they create a false sense of achievement. Just talking about your dream can make you feel like you're working toward it. But without goals, there's no pressure, no accountability. You end up stuck in the dia of success instead of doing what success demands. That's a trap. That's the illusion. And let's not ignore fear. Sometimes we don't set goals because we're afraid. Afraid to fail. Afraid to try and fall short. Afraid we'll disappoint ourselves or others. Denzel reminds us that failure is part of the process. It's not the opposite of success. It's a necessary step toward it. So if you're dreaming big, make peace with stumbling. Make peace with slow progress. Because as long as you're working with intention, you're winning. Another key part of his message is self-respect. When you set a goal and achieve it, no matter how small, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you can rely on your own effort. That's how confidence grows. Not from hype, not from praise, but from the quiet satisfaction of doing what you said you would do. That's personal power. That's unshakable. So when Denzel says, dreams without goals are just dreams, he's giving you more than advice. He's handing you a blueprint. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to start. Set the goal. Write it down. Break it into steps. Then take the first one. Then the next. Keep going, even when it gets hard. Especially when it gets hard. Because in the end, dreams are free. Goals cost something. They cost time, energy, discipline, sacrifice. But they're worth it. Because a dream with a goal becomes a mission. And when you live with that kind of purpose, you don't just survive, you win. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. That's something Denzel Washington has emphasized in his speeches, and it speaks to a truth many overlook. We live in a world where convenience is celebrated. Everyone wants things faster, simpler, easier. But when everything is easy, we lose the grit, the edge, the fire that's built through struggle. It's the hard moments, the moments that push you to your limits, the moments where you feel like quitting, that shape you, that test your character, that define who you really are. Comfort is seductive. It lulls you into staying the same, into accepting less than you're capable of, into settling. But growth doesn't happen there. Growth never happens when you're comfortable. Think about the greatest achievers, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. None of them got to where they are by choosing what was easy. They embraced the pain, the pressure, the failure, the rejection. They leaned into the challenge because they understood one thing: the struggle is where the strength is built. Denzel says it best when he says, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. It's powerful because it flips the mindset. Most people think hardship is what holds them back. But the truth is, it's ease, too much of it, that stops progress dead in its tracks. When you never struggle, you never adapt, you never evolve, you never develop that resilience muscle. And then, when life does inevitably hit you hard, and it will, you don't know how to handle it. You fold. Life isn't meant to be easy. That's not what builds champions. That's not what builds greatness. When you go through hardship, when things don't go your way, when everything feels like it's falling apart, that's where your character is forged. That's where your mindset is tested. That's where you learn what you're really made of. If you can find strength in those moments, you can get through anything. Denzel himself has talked about his own journey. He didn't walk into Hollywood and instantly become a star. He faced rejection, doubt, and closed doors. But he didn't run from it. He didn't ask for it to be easier. He got better. He kept going. Because he understood that greatness doesn't come when things are easy. It comes when you're tired, frustrated, uncertain, but still moving forward. Think about your own life. The times you grew the most, the times you really leveled up, they weren't easy times, were they? They were the times you were forced to fight, the times you got knocked down and had to decide whether to stay down or get up. And even though you didn't see it then, those struggles made you stronger. They prepared you for the next level. Ease doesn't prepare you. It makes you soft. It convinces you to stop when you should be pushing. It gives you excuses when you should be building habits. It lets you coast when you should be climbing. That's why it's dangerous, because you don't even see the damage it's doing until it's too late. You wake up one day realizing that years have gone by and you haven't grown. You haven't challenged yourself. You've been existing, not evolving. So the next time you're in the middle of something hard, don't wish it away. Don't pray for it to be easier. Pray for the strength to endure it, to rise above it. Because what's waiting on the other side of that struggle is a stronger version of you. A version with more confidence, more wisdom, more power. That version only comes through hardship. That's the reward, not just the success, but the person you become along the way. And when you look back, you'll see that it wasn't ease that shaped you. It was the adversity, the fight. You'll realize that hardship was your greatest teacher, that it gave you things you needed to rise, to lead, to win. Denzel knew that. That's why his words hit so deep, because he lived it, and now he challenges you to live it too. Don't run from hard. Run toward it. That's where your greatness lies. Put God first. These 3 words, spoken by Denzel Washington in his unmistakable tone of humility and conviction, carry a weight that transcends motivational speeches and enters the realm of life philosophy. It's not just a catchphrase or a moral cliché. It's the foundation of how he approaches life, work, struggle, and success. When Denzel says, put God first, he means that everything you are, everything you hope to be, everything you fight for, and every breath you take is anchored in something higher than yourself. Putting God first means recognizing that your journey is not entirely your own, that no matter how much ambition you carry or how many hours you grind, there's a divine purpose directing your path. Denzel doesn't talk about faith from a distance. He lives it. He shares how, even at the height of his career, when he was winning Oscars and being praised worldwide, he kept himself grounded, not in fame, not in money, not in power, but in faith. Because when you put your trust in thin fade, you lose yourself. But when you place your trust in God, you find your true identity. This principle doesn't mean you'll avoid failure or hardship. In fact, it often means you'll be tested more. There are moments when you feel like quitting, moments when doors slam shut, people doubt you, the world seems to ignore your effort. But in those quiet, painful pauses, when you're all alone and nothing seems to make sense, putting God first is what gives you the strength to keep going, not just blindly pushing forward, but pressing on with purpose. It's about understanding that delay is not denial, that rejection is not the end. Sometimes God is redirecting you to something better, something greater than you even imagined. Denzel speaks openly about the importance of gratitude. When you put God first, you stop seeing things as random. You start noticing the blessings in small things. You begin each day not with complaints about what's missing, but with thanks for what's present. That's a shift that changes your entire mindset. Gratitude fuels patience. It builds endurance. It keeps you from becoming bitter when life isn't going your way. Denzel says it clearly, true desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's already yours. That's faith, believing before you see it, trusting when it's tough. Putting God first also means aligning your goals with a higher calling. It's not just about making money or being famous. It's about asking, why am I here? Who can I help? What legacy am I leaving? Denzel constantly returns to this theme. Your talent is not just for you. It's a gift to serve others, to lift people up, to inspire hope. Your life should reflect the light of something eternal, not something temporary. That's why he warns against ego and pride. Success without humility is empty. But when you acknowledge the source of your strength, you walk with a different kind of confidence. Not arrogance, assurance. Denzel's personal story reveals how this belief guided him through all stages of life. He wasn't born into fame. He wasn't guaranteed success. He faced rejection. He faced struggle. But what kept him steady was his spiritual compass. He had a praying mother. He had mentors who reminded him that talent can open doors, but character and faith keep them open. When he was tempted to take shortcuts or choose roles that didn't reflect his values, he remembered who he was and whose he was. That's what putting God first really means. See, knowing that your worth doesn't come from the applause of the crowd, but from the one who created you. In every interview, in every commencement speech, Denzel returns to this message, not because it's popular, but because it's timeless. Culture may change, values may shift, but the need for faith, for a strong foundation, remains the same. And he urges everyone, especially the younger generation, to hold on to that, to build their dreams not just on skill or hustle, but on solid ground, on faith, on purpose, on truth. When Denzel says, put God first, he's not asking you to be perfect. He's reminding you to stay connected, to check your heart, to seek wisdom beyond your own understanding. Because when the storms come, and they will, it won't be your resume or your followers or your bank account that saves you. It will be your faith, your anchor, your quiet trust in the one who sees the whole picture when all you see is the pain. That's what gives you peace in the chaos. That's what keeps you going when the world says stop. Never give up, but don't go it alone. Put God first, and everything else will follow. Just because it's taking time doesn't mean it's not happening. That line alone, when delivered in Denzel Washington's voice, holds the weight of a lifetime of persistence, rejection, setbacks, and unshakable belief. It cuts through the noise of quick success culture and reminds you of a timeless truth. The ones who win are not always the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to stop. They're the ones who show up when no one is watching, who stay faithful to the grind when the reward is nowhere in sight, who believe in what they can't yet see. Denzel Washington didn't become a household name overnight. He didn't wake up one morning and land Oscar-winning roles. He auditioned and failed. He was rejected. He had moments where it would have been easier to walk away, where the world seemed to tell him he wasn't good enough, not ready, not right for the role. But he kept showing up. He kept sharpening his craft. He kept believing that even if the door didn't open today, it would eventually, as long as he kept knocking. That's what persistence is. It's not glamour. It's not always exciting. It's a slow, sometimes painful, often lonely journey of repetition, of faith, of holding your vision tighter than your fear. There's a myth that talent alone will take you to the top, that if you've got it, success will just show up. But Denzel's story, and the stories of every great figure who stood the test of time, prove the opposite. It's not who starts the fastest, it's who refuses to quit. It's the woman who writes every morning before her day job. It's the man who goes back to the gym even when the mirror shows no change. It's the student who studies late into the night, even after failing the last test. These are the people who understand that progress is rarely visible in the moment. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. Growth is often invisible. It's what's happening when you think nothing is happening. There are seasons when you'll feel like your efforts are in vain. You'll question your path. You'll compare yourself to others and wonder if you're even moving at all. But that's when you dig deeper. That's when persistence matters most. Because persistence isn't just doing the work. It's doing the work when you feel like quitting. It's waking up on the hard days and choosing your mission again. It's choosing belief over doubt, action over excuses. It's what Denzel meant when he said, just because it's taking time doesn't mean it's not happening. You plant a seed. You don't see anything for days, maybe weeks, but underground the roots are forming. The foundation is being set. Without roots, no tree can stand. That's what your daily grind is. Unseen roots. Preparation before promotion. Training before the stage. The world may not see the hours, the sweat, the tears, but when the moment comes, you'll be ready, not lucky, because you didn't stop. You stayed faithful. You were persistent. You might feel like you're behind. You might feel like you're not where you should be. But timing is everything. The people you admire most, they all had a moment when they were unseen, underestimated, or flat out ignored. What made them different wasn't just skill. It was the refusal to give up. That's what will set you apart too. Persistence is your superpower. It's the quiet fire that burns through doubt, through obstacles, through failure. Every no brings you closer to the ease. Every rejection builds resilience. Every lonely hour strengthens your spirit. Keep going. Keep trusting the process. You may not be where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be either. And that, in itself, is progress. You have what it takes. Not because it's easy, but because you're willing to keep going. So don't stop. Don't let the time it takes fool you. Greatness always takes time. Never give up.